In John 14 verse 1, Jesus says to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled." The point is their hearts were troubled, very troubled. They just had their last meal with Jesus. We call it the Last Supper. They didn't know it was going to be their last meal. And at this meal, Jesus was going to speak his last words to them. Now, I'd like you to imagine with me for a while that you were one of the disciples. You responded to the call of Jesus, "Come, follow me." When you heard those words, something resonated in your heart and you just knew that's what you were created for. You spent 3 years following Jesus, being taught by him, being discipled by him, seeing miracles. The supernatural almost became normal for you as it was a daily occurrence. And then there was an anticipation in your heart where Jesus was talking about a coming new dispensation, a kingdom. And you had this anticipation of Jesus being the king of that kingdom. And then you come to the meal, this last meal. It was customary for you and Jesus to have meals together. And at this meal, at one stage, Jesus wraps a towel around him and he starts washing your feet and the disciples' feet. You feel awkward and you feel embarrassed. A little further on in the meal, Jesus says, "One of you is going to betray me." That kind of sends shivers down your spine. One of you is going to betray me. Who might that be? And then Jesus drops a bombshell. He says, "In a short while, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you. And where I go, you can't come." Now that causes you even more bewilderment and anxiety. How can there be a kingdom if the king is gone? And towards the end of the meal, you hear Jesus say to Peter, "Peter, before the cock crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. That causes more anxiety and confusion. You're even more bewildered because you look to Peter as one of the leaders. Talk about your heart being troubled. And that's where Jesus says in John 14, verse 1 and 2, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. I'm going there to prepare a place for you." Their hearts were deeply troubled. You could imagine after what had just transpired, Jesus was going to leave them. Their hearts were deeply troubled. Maybe your heart is deeply troubled right now, troubled about what's going on in the world or in your circumstances around you or in relationships. Their hearts were deeply troubled. Now, Jesus immediately points them to the Father. The thing that they were going to miss the most was their intimate relationship with Jesus, their friendship and fellowship with him. The fact that he'd given them a sense of calling and purpose and ministry and dignity and destiny. And he'd revealed to them the overwhelming love of God the Father. Jesus says, "I'm going to prepare a place for you." God is a safe place for all of us. Maybe you felt unsafe. Maybe you feel vulnerable. God is a safe place for us. "I'm going to prepare a place for you." What does that place look like? Where is that place? Where did Jesus go? John 1 verse 18 gives us an idea. This is what it says. "No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son who is in the bosom of the Father." And then the NIV. "No one has ever seen God but the one and only Son who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father." You see, Jesus was the only person that lived in such close, intimate relationship and fellowship with God that it can be called that he was in the bosom of the Father, close to his heart, in that cherished place. And he left that place in the bosom of the Father to come to earth and to become one of us and die on the cross, shed his blood for us, so that we can be restored to relationship with God. And that's the place he's prepared for us, in the bosom of the Father. It's a safe place in the heart of God, a place where we are cherished and we are loved. When you think of God preparing a place for you, maybe you think of a mansion, or a cabin. No, it's much bigger and much better than that. It's in the great, big, wonderful Father heart of God. God has prepared a place for you that is a safe place in the bosom of the Father, close to the heart of God. May you take up that residence, that place in the Father heart of God. That's my prayer for you, that you'll find safety, that you'd find acceptance, that you'd discover the love of God in that place that Jesus has prepared for you in the bosom of the Father. Enjoy being a child of God.